Welcome, everybody. Today I am here with Molly McAdams. She is the Executive Vice President of the Texas Beef Council. So thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Absolutely. I'm thrilled. Thank you.
So let's dive in, I guess, first of all, with the Texas Beef Council. Now, you've been here twice.
I have been here
You
twice.
started out your career here,
Yep.
and now you're back. So tell me about the Texas Beef Council.
Well, our job is to talk to consumers on behalf of cattle producers. And it's a really great model. So, there's a lot of cattle producers out there, but they're busy taking care of their animals and they're stewarding their land. So they put money into what's called the checkoff program. And using those collective dollars from all cattle producers, they have an organization like us where we can speak to consumers on their behalf. What I love about Texas Beef Council and other beef councils and the way that our beef checkoff works is everything we do comes from a basis of research. Our job specifically is research, promotion, and education about beef. And we're talking to consumers or people that face consumers. So it might be retailers and providing them with information. It could be we're working with chefs. But it's a really fun job, but it's really a calling. It's a passion call. And that's what I love about it. That's what I loved when I was working here in my 20s. And that's what I love. And that's one of the reasons I came back late in my career is it's a really worthy endeavor. And I believe in our product and I believe in ranching and the ranching story. And I'm proud to tell the story on behalf of cattle producers.
And what people probably also don't know is that you live this firsthand.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me about your family ranch.
Well, I'm actually a Florida native, but some long time ago, I've been in Texas longer than I ever lived in Florida, interestingly enough. But when I moved here, I'd gone to graduate school out here. And then sometime later, met and married my husband, whose family has been in Texas since the 1830s. So long legacy of ranching and ranching lifestyle. And my husband is very much a rancher. He's very educated about ranching. He's he stays up on all the latest trends, and he really loves some of the aspects of traditional ranching that it's fun to be around. One thing in particular is we have a little place that we live on, and he calls it his experimental herd because it's not a big enough place for us to have very many cattle. The family ranch is back in East Texas. We live down near San Antonio. So on our little place right now, we know we're going to have grass this summer, and so we're stocking it with stocker calves. So each weekend we've been working calves, and it's fun and it's interesting, but I'm going to tell you, I didn't grow up working cattle. And so I'm right in there with him. I did grow up working in agriculture. My dad was a horse vet. It's just different. But it's fun. And I love seeing everything about life on our place, which we call the Little 12 Bar, because the family ranch actually is the McAdams 12 Bar Ranch. So ours is the Little 12 Bar. And the things we do there are just it's a microcosm of what actually happens in the industry. And it's seeing the livestock, but also seeing the personality differences between the calves and the horses, which is profound, versus the dog, profound. But even I've noticed yesterday morning that, now we've got these feral geese that are back on our property, and we have another owl that's out in front of our tree in front of our house. So it's also all the wildlife that comes with it, and seeing just what happens on our little piece of land that happens all over the country on open lands that really other species get to proliferate because they're open, and they're open because of cattle. And I love that I get to tell that story too. And I have empathy for our stakeholders because I know how hard the work is. And I know what they put into it. Each and every one of them, I know what they put into it.
Yeah. It's easy to romanticize ranching. but it's hard work. And you were describing, so if you don't mind, tell us what you were telling me about, having the crew out, you're going to do vaccinations.
Yeah.
This is not a quick and easy process.
Well, it's not quick and easy. And this is, again, I'd have to reiterate to any of my friends out there who are in bigger ranching operations than the place we live on. It's so small compared to what it would look like with a crew. And for a while, my husband was running a really big ranching operation. It was based out of Lubbock. And they would take a wagon out and go out with a crew and the cowboys, and they slept out because it was so remote. So places still do that. And that does feel romantic and romanticized. But the fact is, when you're out like that, you're not getting a shower for 5 days. You're eating what the chuck wagon cook is going to be cooking you for 5 days, which tends to be pretty good on our little spot. And I'll do it again this Saturday, third Saturday in a row. I'll be up at 5. I'll cook breakfast for our little crew that comes out. And really, you got to feed them well, right? They're not going to get paid all that well, but they do expect a really good meal to start their day. And I'm proud of how I cook for them. So I make homemade biscuits for them. And I'm going to have something, the first weekend we worked cattle, it was one menu. Last weekend, it was another one. This weekend, it'll be another one. But it starts at 5 so that when they get there, they're ready to work and they've got something that's going to stick to their ribs. And then I'm part of the cattle working crew, so I'm going to be out there doing my job, which chances are is going to be vaccinating this weekend again. But I also am the one that has to make sure that the branding irons are kept hot. So I'm managing the stuff kind of behind the scenes. They're doing more of the physical stuff. I make sure that any of our implements that need to be sharp, that they're sharpened. Because as a meat scientist, I know how to sharpen a knife. So I do those kinds of things. And then when we're finished, I come back inside, I wash my hands, and I start lunch. And so it's a little bit of a thankless task, but I do enjoy it. But it's really hard work. And by Saturday afternoon, I'll be pretty well done. So.
Now, you mentioned being a meat scientist. So tell us what that involves.
That too is a fascinating career. A lot of people don't know about it. There's actually a lot of meat scientists out there in the wild that people don't know what they do. I fell in love with it as, I guess, a sophomore. I took a meat science course at the University of Florida, and I just loved what we were learning. I always loved science, and I was a good aspiring scientist, but it wasn't directionally where I wanted to go. And in the world of really good scientists, I'm not one. I've been around people that are really good at it, and I'm not that. But it was so practical. And so when you're learning about like a meat, the biology or the physiology of a meat system, it's so practical. You learn about meat chemistry, you learn about meat biology, you learn about the growth and development of animals that we care for, that we then harvest for food, and the importance of the nutrients that come from animals that are harvested for food. You learn about animal welfare and all of the steps that come up to actually having meat that is wholesome, that's safe, that's nutritious, that goes on a plate for a family dinner. And it just became a pursuit that I found to be really, intellectually stimulating, but also deeply practical, which I knew was really important to me. I'm not going to tell you that I use my meat science background a lot. I did at certain times in my career, but it was just good, practical experience that I can continue to look back on. And I have a lot of friends that will text me with questions about what do I do with X, Y, or Z, and I can easily engage. Anyway, it's a fun scope. And I also like having the whole 360-degree view of how the industry works. That's really valuable to me. Just knowing the ag origins, that has always been important to me in my life.
So what is your biggest goal for the Texas Beef Council over the next year?
We have been working on kind of administrative things recently. So, and one of the reasons that I was looking forward to coming back to Texas Beef Council is I missed having a team of people around me because I was doing some consulting work after I left HEB, and I missed folks around me that I could deeply mentor. But creating a really powerful team it's very rewarding. And we are a nonprofit. We have folks who work here because they're passionate about beef. They're passionate about our industry. So when you're surrounded with passion players, you have a really great opportunity to create a culture that is really sticky, where people know how they fit in. And so we've been working on that. We've been working on defining our culture. What does it mean for us to work together, to collaborate? How do we give back to our partners or people that we work with? You know, someone like you is a good example. Like, what is it for us to give back in a way that shines a light on our job, but also really positions our folks as experts? And so we'll always have young people that work someplace like Texas Beef Council. How do we cultivate their growth? So this year is a continuation of what we've been building since I got here, which is really getting deep into what is the culture that we will have for years to come. I'm a big believer in succession planning, even if it's 10 years out. Like, I'm planning for what the future is going to be. And then how do you really help people find what they're passionate about and then give them the leeway to work within their greatest strengths? That's a lot of what I do as the leader. And, you know, the other thing would be a big part of any leader's job is knowing when you have to step in and really help break down barriers, or, you know, whether it's, you know, helping open a door for someone so that it's a path that they can pursue, or if it's making an introduction, whatever that may be. You get to do that all the time, but it's really fun when you're surrounded by people that are driven by passion, because you can really make headway fast with passion players. And I just love being around people like that.
Well, we are going to make sure everybody knows how to find you and the Texas Beef Council, and I appreciate you being here with me.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.